Hello guys, Clean here. I'm a producer and I'm here to show you one of what I find so easy for you to be able to mix your vocals. Yeah, and this is something that has worked for me over the years, and everyone is telling me, why do you have so little on your vocal tracks? Like, why do you have very little plugins? Yeah, so I want to share this with you guys. It works for me and people appreciate my work, and I hope you can appreciate it too. So in front of us is a project by Genesis. It's called Allergy, and I'm going to go through what I did to his vocals to give us the sound of the song. Yeah, if you need the song, I'll put the link to the song in the description. So the first and foremost would be noise reduction, but luckily for us in this project, I didn't particularly add noise reduction. So for the interest of people who want exactly what this project sounds like, I won't go into that for detail, but in another video maybe. Yeah. The first plugin we have is autotune. So the vocal, dry as it sounds, this is how it would be.
Happiness all over me face, and me cannot explain how we feel every time when kulaba. I no case where we there, no go move it, go you why you wonder look amunko when kulaba. Omubiri guwuguma munku womuwala. Love the way you are, you're not your skin and not your color. Nkwagala kuba yegwe yabamponya bawala.
Yeah, so as you can hear, there's a few notes that are off. So the best way to fix it is with autotune, definitely, that is already open here. So let me show you how to go about it. So if you're producing a dancehall song, you need to be really generous with the response on the autotune. Push it all the way down to 0 so that it kicks in immediately for every note. Yeah, you can raise it until where you feel comfortable depending on what you want to hear, but this is a dancehall romantic song, so I want it to be down so that the artist is gliding all the way through every note, you know. Even the creativity of the autotune, like it's being used to add to the feel of the song, the gliding. So let me show you what I mean. So without it,
Happiness all over me face, and me cannot explain how we feel every time when kulaba. I no case where we there, no go move it, go you why you wonder look amunko when kulaba. Omubiri guwu.
Yeah, so with it,
happiness all over me face, and me cannot explain how we feel every time when kulaba. I no
yeah,
case.
so there's a little bit of that T-pain effect, but in dancehall music, that's like perfectly okay. Yeah, so you don't need to beat yourself up if you do that to a dancehall artist's vocals, unless it doesn't sound right. Always go for the good sound. Yeah, so the next I have a surgical EQ. So this surgical EQ, I go out cutting the frequencies that are not right. These frequencies can be due to the room, due to the vocal texture, and then also in the end I cut around 100 dB. Yeah, high pass filter, so I put it around 170 so that I can get the slope going down to 100. Yeah, so without the surgical EQ,
Happiness all over me face, and me cannot explain how we feel every time when kulaba. I no case where we there, no go move it.
with the surgical EQ,
Happiness all over me face, and me cannot explain how we feel every time when kulaba. And
yeah, so it goes, when you cut the lower end of the song, it provides more space for the high frequencies to be heard. So those are the frequencies we need to be heard in the mix. Yeah, given that this particular song had a very groovy bass line, so we need them to be heard so that the vocal does not get swallowed up in any way. Yeah, then next I have my compression. So I worked all the compressors, both the compressors half to give me something general, because I didn't want one compressor to work so much than the other. That's why I have two, one that is in green here and the other that is in blue. Yeah, so this compressor, I just made sure I put my threshold to a point where all the vocals hit, even the lowest. So for this one's case, it was negative 23, and then I set the ratio to reduce any frequency above negative 23 to 1 dB for every 3 dB. What I mean is that a signal that goes 3 dB above the threshold gets reduced to 1. So I put the threshold at 23. That's where I could hear perfectly all the vocals, yeah, hitting. So anything that crosses that threshold, I use the ratio here to compress it at 3 to 1. So for every 3 dBs that cross the threshold, you get 1 dB. So if it's 3 dB, it's 1. If it's 6 dB, it's 2. If it's 9 dB, it's 3. Yeah. Then I add a makeup gain, push it back to where it was. So remember, you're not compressing to 0. So these dBs that are being compressed are still above the 23. So what I did was add another compressor just to avoid over squishing the first one to get a uniform sound. Yeah, and I did the same thing, but this time I used a threshold of 29. Yeah, and then I still used 3 to 1, and then I made up the gain for it, added 4 dB, and that was good. I hope you get that. So with and without it, this is how it sounds like without.
That when kulaba, happiness all over me face, so me cannot explain how we feel every time when kulaba. I no case where we there, no go move with the go you why you wonder look amunko when kulaba. Oh move the gu mamunku.
Yeah, so with it.
That when kulaba, happiness all over me face, so me cannot explain how we feel every time when kulaba. I no case where we there, no go move with the go you why you wonder look amunko when kulaba. Oh move the gu mamunku.
Yeah, so as you can hear, we have a more consistent vocal, so we don't have to worry about, automation and all the stuff. And also we're still retaining the attack of the song, because some vocals are loud, but it just compresses it to a certain point where we can still feel the transients. Yeah. So next we have the tonal EQ. So this tonal EQ shapes the tone of the sound. It's not about bad frequencies and what, like tone. So here what I did particularly for this vocal, I raised the most interesting part of his voice, which is the airy part, because this will bring out the quality of what he delivered. And this is how it sounds like if I solo it. So I hope you can hear it. Then here I cut a bit of harshness, and this part sounded a little bit harsh to me. Yeah, then also I needed to kill a bit of presence in the around 751 hertz, just to make sure that the song doesn't get eaten up by the vocal. This is just security measures. Make sure you're always doing something that you need to do, not that you know how to do. Yeah. Then I added also another frequency boost here around 250. Yeah, just for warmth to the vocal. So without it, this is what we have.
That when kulaba, happiness all over me face, so me cannot explain how we feel every time when kulaba. I no case where we there, no go move with the.
Yeah, with.
That when kulaba, happiness all over me face, so me cannot explain how we feel every time when kulaba. I no case where we there, no go move with the go you why you.
Yeah, and I was happy with that. So next, as I was working, I felt like the breaths were too much, and I just needed to control them. I don't like cutting breaths in songs because it makes it sound so robotic and so, straight on point, and the emotion dies and everything. So for some artists like Jenesis, who is singing with emotion, you want him to be able to express that. So I added this breath control. It doesn't get rid of them. So just to make sure. So this is breath control from RX by Isotope, and you can try it on default, but if it fails, try to use the breath only and play with this the target level and the sensitivity. I'm sure you should get something amazing to your liking. So I don't think I should play that before and after. Yeah. So next I have a doubler. So what I use the doubler for is to make the voice richer and full, so that it sits on top of the instrumental, because it's wide, like just add some space around it. So what the doubler does is that it replicates the main vocal, which is the direct signal. Here you can see it, and these are all the tweaks for the direct signal. Normally this comes up and it's a tweak for the replicated signals, so I push them back down so that they don't get any boost to compete with the direct signal. And then I cut down the dBs here for the left and for the right. Yeah, so without it, let's listen.
Happiness all over me face, so me cannot explain how we feel every time when kulaba. I no case where we there, no go move with the go you why you wonder look amunko when kulaba. Oh move with the gu mamunku wa muwala. Left the way.
Yeah, so if you listen carefully, you should have a good image of what is going on. Then I add a de-esser. So this de-esser just to cut sibilances, and this is a vocal de-esser from Autotune, and just cut sibilances. So this is how it sounds like. Happiness all over me face, so me cannot explain how we feel every time when kulaba. Yeah, that's without it, and this is with it. Happiness all over me face, so me cannot explain how we feel every time when kulaba. So as you can see, it's cutting the frequencies down. Yeah, the sibilance frequencies. So what I do after that, I send it to a bus. Here we have bus 5 that has a number of plugins. Let me mute them. So the first plugin I use is RVox, and I'm always shooting for like -5 here. Yeah, so if I add RVox, happiness all over me face, so me cannot explain how we feel every time when kulaba. So I pull this down until I see a -5 here, then I can do the makeup gain to bring the volume back to speed. Yeah, and this RVox is from Waves. If you have the Waves bundle, you should be having it. Yeah. Then next I add saturation. So what I do with my saturation is that I cut just after the fundamental. So the fundamental is this, the first frequency on the low end for the vocal, because I don't want to boost all this boominess and whatsoever. So in this side I put my drive band to 0, but on this other end I choose saturation, gentle saturation, and put it like at 30%, because that is fair to me. Like when you hear it, it sounds like it's working. That's when the effect starts to kick in, and try to go for when the effect starts to kick in, not when the effect satisfies you. Yeah, then when the collection satisfies you, that's okay. Yeah, so here we are boosting this fundamental. It multiplies in the song and creates more frequencies that are the same all over the spectrum with the same, you know, structure. The vocal becomes stronger and more in tune, so you need that. Saturation is really key, and also be careful not to overdo it. So here I have a Pro EQ 3 that I added, but this was mostly a mixing thing, and I don't think that should bother you in any way. Your mixing engineer can add it. Yeah, then I have Slick Vocal by Waves, but unfortunately you'll need to have one of the latest versions of Waves to be able to have this plugin. So with this plugin, you can just add it by default. The vocal will already sound better, but then also you can make a few tweaks, like between 300 and 4K. If you feel there's a vocal disturbing, you try to get the range, and this plugin will work like Soothe. I don't know, Soothe too, that most of you know. Yeah, to kill a few of the bad frequencies. So I boosted this a lot just to make up for the spaces I forgot in the surgical EQ. Yeah, that's why I didn't try to mess with it. Then in the low end, because I cut it, some frequencies are still able to escape through the spectrum, so I just added a little bit, like 34% of it, cut out what it can cut. Then in the high end, that part where I increased to add the quality of the vocal, I didn't do any spectral EQing, so this does it for me. Yeah, but then after that I go to my delay, which is sent to a bus. So here it's bus 1, and what I do is I bring it back down to 1/8, set the ping pong on. It will detect the BPM by itself. Then I cut out some of the low frequencies, some of the high frequencies, so that they don't collide with the main vocal, because these are the most disturbing frequencies, the high end and the low end. So if you leave everything in, it's just going to sound like repeating the main vocal over and over again. So after I've done that, I bring also this down to 16%, so that the feedback is not too much. Yeah, and always make sure it's on full width since you're sending, so that's not your control anymore for how much delay you need. This will be your control. Yeah, so we have this one, the bus will be your control. So we have about 20.1, we have about 21.1 minus 21.1 dB, and this is how it sounds with and without.
Happiness all over me face, and me cannot explain how we feel every time when kulaba. I no care where we there, no go move with the go you why you wonder look.
Now with
happiness all over me face, and me cannot explain how we feel every time when kulaba. I no care where we there, no go move with the go you why you wonder look amuko when kulaba. Oh, move with the go.
Yeah, so if you can hear, it's occupying the spaces between where he keeps quiet. So you just keep that constant. And if you notice, I have a flanger under my H delay by waves. So I push this to the maximum. Why I'm doing this is to give the delay, the responses a different structure, so that they are not at all associated with the main vocal, apart from the time base. So when this sounds, the one with the flanger sounds after, so that makes it more significant, so you can hear it well and it's not making a lot of commotion. Yeah, then next I have my Valhalla vintage verb, and I need to set my pre-delay. So what I do is pick 7,500, divide it by the BPM, and then divide it by 8. Yeah, then to get the decay, what I do is get the pre-delay, divide it by 1000 and multiply it by 32, then again multiply it by 8, and that should give you something close to that. You can play with these frequencies, cut out, the high end. So just try to cut frequencies that might cause you trouble. But in this I didn't cut because I was satisfied with it. So this is how it sounds with and without. Without it,
happiness all over me face, and me cannot explain how we feel every time when kulaba. I no care where we there, no go move with the go you why you wonder look amuko when kulaba. Oh, move with it.
So with it,
happiness all over me face, and me cannot explain how we feel every time when kulaba.
Yeah, and always try to follow what your artist is feeling to add in the amount of delay. If he's shouting, remember, music is this is going to be assumed like a room where someone can feel the corners, can feel everything. So if he's shouting, add a little bit of more pronounced reverb. If he's not shouting, make it less in the lead vocal. For the reverb, since it's behind him, make it more. You can get rid of the delay, because when something is far away, we hardly hear it in the delay. So just try to be as practical as possible with your vocals. So here I'm adding so much because he's shouting, meaning if he's shouting, he needs to be deep inside. Like he's not whispering to me in my ear, he's a bit far. So try to make him sound distant from you as possible. Yeah, so that's the vocal chain that I used, and the particular one I used on Allergy by Jenesis. Link is in the description again. Make sure you go stream the entire album that was mixed and mastered by me. And for an idea of what we've been working with, this is how it sounds like.
Happiness all over me face, and me cannot explain how we feel every time when cool over. I no case where we there, no go move with the bro, you why you wonder look at munko when cool over. Oh, move with the gugu mamunku wa muwala. Love the way you are, you're not your skin and not your color. Nkwagala kuba ye gwela bamponya bawala. Ngana una bawala. Ay, ay. Real thing, girl majesty. Like a fire upon the rhythm, girl I speak. No for listen when the girl ya speak. Girl I do it for papa but no PhD. Well I think I found some love. After all it got to.
Yeah, so that's the song. And it's an amazing project, trust me, you'll never regret listening to it. So this to summarize, take your time, pull out things that you need, not the things that you have, not the things that you know how to tweak. Yeah, always get the best out of, the voice, what is in front of you, and what do you need to do to it, yeah, to give it the professional sound. And I guarantee you will have something sounding amazing. So it's clean again. This was Allergy by Jenesis. If you want how I produced it to run through the stems for you, you can let me know, and I guess I'll see you next week. Yeah, I hope this is helpful to a few upcoming producers, even the professional ones that can borrow anything. Yeah, so I'll catch you guys next time. Ciao.